Hey, I'm not sure. This screen looks really glitchy, so let me know in the comments if you can hear me or if you can see me. It's looking pretty glitchy, so I do apologize for that. I'm going to try to make it work. Let me check my audio real quick. I don't know why it's glitching like this, but we're going to try to make it work. Let me know in the comments if it's looking really glitchy for you. I hope it's not, but that just seems to be the way it is right now. Let me check my audio real quick. Make sure the audio is connected. Let me see. Okay, so I hope you can hear me. I hope you can hear me. I hope it's not too glitchy. Video is glitchy. I know. I'm sorry. It's not the best. It's not the best video quality right now, and I don't know why. I'm going to try to make it work. Okay. So I'm going to talk about some advice, some tips, some tricks if you're thinking about starting a bookkeeping business, especially in 2023 or in 2024. So I have a couple talking points here. The first thing I want to talk about is don't waste too much time learning QuickBooks Online and bookkeeping. Now, this is step number one. If you've heard any of my videos, I talk about starting a bookkeeping business is a 4-step process. And step number one, you got to learn QuickBooks and bookkeeping. Step number two is you need to learn marketing and sales. Step number three is you need to deliver high quality customer service. And step number four is you need to work really, really hard. And step number one is what catches so many people. They get caught up in step number one and they try to become a QuickBooks and a bookkeeping expert and master before they start doing any sales or marketing. And in my opinion, that's a mistake. That's a bad idea because it's going to take you a long time to get your first client. So if you guys see here in the bottom of the screen, I do have a free mini course. Check out in the description of this video. It's only like 3 or 4 videos long. It's free, and I break down in more detail some of these things that I talk about. Obviously, I have a paid course. If you want to check out the paid course, you're welcome to check that out on my website as well. And then I do have weekly meetings every single Monday at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with other bookkeeping business owners. So it's a small group. We meet. I usually do a 30-minute presentation. The video is never glitchy, I promise. And I do a 30-minute presentation, and then we have like a live Q&A in a group chat. Okay, so real quick, I'm going to go through this presentation probably for like 15 minutes, and then if you guys want to ask questions in the comments of this video, I will do my best to go back and answer everybody's questions. So stick around to the end, ask questions as I'm presenting, and then I will give you guys, I'll answer all of your questions at the end. I'm going to see if there's anything I can do. Oh, it looks like maybe it's not as glitchy now. Maybe it's not as glitchy now. Okay, so I'm going to go, let's see here. I'm going to switch screens real quick. Make sure I have this right. Okay. So tip number one, don't waste too much time learning QuickBooks and bookkeeping. Now let's see, what else do we have here? Okay, with that being said, I still do recommend you want to become a certified QuickBooks Pro Advisor. That, in my opinion, is the most important thing that you can do because this adds a level of legitimacy to you and your bookkeeping business. If anybody asks you if you have any certifications or any qualifications, you can tell them, yes, as a matter of fact, I am actually a certified QuickBooks Pro Advisor. And they probably want help with their QuickBooks, so that makes perfect sense. You're certified, you're a pro advisor, whatever that means, and you can help people with their bookkeeping. So this, honestly, I didn't really learn a whole lot about QuickBooks doing this certification, but if you talk to other business owners, it just adds a level of legitimacy to you and your business, and it makes you look like you know what you're talking about. You're not going to be a QuickBooks expert after you pass this exam, and actually the exam is pretty challenging. I actually failed it the first time. So if you fail it, don't get discouraged. You can retake it. Yeah, a little pro tip is you can open up an incognito window and log into your QuickBooks account through the incognito window and then take the test in the other window, the other browser, and then you can scroll through the training material at the same time as you're taking the test in 2 different windows. So a little pro tip there. Okay, whenever you're quoting people, I recommend that you add up all of their transactions. If you're doing a big cleanup job, add up all their transactions over, over 2022 or over the months in 2023. If you're doing a big cleanup job, add up all the transactions and then multiply that by 2 or 3. Whenever you're quoting people, remember a lot of factors will depend on how much you quote people. So if you live in New York City compared to maybe South Dakota, you might charge people a little bit more if you live in New York City than if you lived in South Dakota. Just cost of living and general expenses are probably higher in New York City than they are in other places. Also, your level of experience. Maybe if you're just getting started, you won't be able to charge as much as somebody who's been doing it for 10 years and who truly is a bookkeeping expert and a QuickBooks expert. So whenever I got started, I was charging people $2 per transaction. And now I'm charging $3 per transaction. I've been quoting everybody in 2023 $3 per transaction, and I've had success landing new clients at $3 per transaction. So a lot of it depends on how desperate you are to land a client. Maybe if you're just getting started, stick with $2 per transaction. If you're not desperate to get a client, maybe do $3 per transaction. My biggest piece of advice when it comes to quoting and working and how much to get paid, absolutely, you don't want to work hourly. Just because, first of all, it's an administrative headache for you to keep track of your hours, and then you're going to bill your clients, at the end of the month, I guess, for hours worked. I don't like getting paid after I do the work. I like to get paid up front. So if I bill you on November 1st, I expect to be paid November 1st or shortly after November 1st, and that payment is to cover work I'm going to do in November. I don't get paid on November 1st for work I did in October. This has really protected me. Almost all of my clients pay on time, but for the few situations where I had clients who did not pay, this has really saved me. If a client isn't willing to pay, then I simply don't do the work and then I drop them as a client. It's a lot better than billing people after you work and dealing with the hassle and the headache of tracking down payments. I simply require payment upfront. And the best way to do that is to charge a fixed monthly fee. So I don't charge hourly. I actually did the math. I end up making $200 per hour on my clients who I bill monthly. And if you told them that you charge $200 per hour, I guarantee you none of them would agree to pay you $200 per hour because they would think that's ridiculous. But if I told you, hey, I'll do all your bookkeeping for $400 a month, and it only takes me, they don't need to know that it only takes you 2 hours, because guess what? It's going to take them 10 hours because they're not a bookkeeping expert. They're not a QuickBooks expert, but it's going to take you maybe 2, maybe 4 hours because you're a bookkeeping expert and you're a QuickBooks expert. So you can bill them $400 to do all of their bookkeeping. It only takes you 4 hours, maybe 2 hours whenever you get really good. And now you can see that you're making a lot more money per hour than what they would probably pay you if you just straight up gave them a quote of an hourly rate. So highly recommend, don't work hourly, don't bill people hourly, just come up with a system to quote them, charge $2 per transaction, charge $3 per transaction. So if you're quoting current monthly bookkeeping, look at their 3 most recent months, add it all up, divide it by 3, that's their average number of transactions. And then you just take that number, multiply it by 2, multiply it by 3, or some number in between, and that's their monthly fee for bookkeeping. Okay, so a couple more slides here. You want to create social media marketing content every single day. I'm not going to talk about it a whole lot in this video because I probably made 100 videos before this. But you want to create social media marketing content every single day. I actually have a Facebook group. There should be a link in the description of this video. You can join my Facebook group and I give some tips and tricks, and you can ask questions, and other people are actually contributing. Other people are answering questions. So I highly recommend join the Facebook group. There's a lot of great conversation and help and tips and tricks and advice in the Facebook group. And also, on my website, harrisburgbookkeeping.com/store, I have a 30-day social media marketing strategy guide. I literally tell you everything to post for your first 30 days. I tell you exactly what I would post if I were starting my business all over again. So the key here with social media, I'm going to touch on this real quick. I'm not going to go into a whole lot of detail. is a 4-step process. You need to create social media marketing content every single day. You need to find your prospective clients on social media. You need to connect with them. And this can work with any social media, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. It doesn't matter. The principles apply the same. Create content every day, find prospective clients, connect with them, and then engage with your community. It's not complicated, but it's also not easy. It's simple and it's hard, if that makes sense. Okay, so this is actually the end of the slideshow. This is my last talking point, and I am so frustrated that my stream is glitching here. I promise I'm going to try to figure it out. I have no idea why it's happening. I'm sure it's really frustrating for you, but you want to track leads in Excel or have some type of CRM. So I'll be honest with you, I've never paid for a CRM. I've always just used Microsoft Excel. And the key here is you want to track your leads relentlessly and ruthlessly. I use those two words because they drive home the seriousness of this. And I'm talking about warm leads. I'm talking about people who specifically have expressed interest in working with you. I'm not talking about cold leads. I'm not talking about people you friend requested on Facebook or people or email addresses you found on Google. I'm talking about people who reached out to you, whether they called you or texted you or emailed you or showed up at your office or met you in person, whatever, it doesn't matter. They've expressed interest. They want to work with you. You need to come up with a system, write down their name, write down their phone number, write down their email address, jot down a couple notes. I just use Microsoft Excel. I have a column for all of those different categories: email, first name, last name, phone number, and notes. And I keep track of everybody, and I follow up with those people at least once a month, if not sometimes 2 or 3 times per month. I will call them, I will text them. I won't really text them. I'll call them, or I'll email them, or I'll send them a message on Facebook, and I'll say, hey, it's been a while since we spoke last. I remember you mentioned that you want some help with your bookkeeping. I'm just checking in real quick. Do you still want help with your bookkeeping? If not, no worries. Let me know, and I'll take you off my list. It's as simple as that. Okay, those are all my talking points. Let me go back to my YouTube screen here real quick and see if anybody asked any questions. I'm so sorry the video was glitchy. Hopefully you could still hear me. Let's see. Let me go back to YouTube real quick. Let me pull up the comments. Okay, so somebody said, it's kind of hard to believe that for me. I'm in a QuickBooks class right now, and there are so many intricacies of the software. Let me actually try to do something. See, that doesn't look too bad. That doesn't look too glitchy. Okay. Anthony Flowers, there's so many intricacies to the software. I assume you're referring to me saying that you shouldn't spend too much time learning QuickBooks or bookkeeping. So the thing is, you're going to spend 2 weeks studying for, let me do something real quick. Let me see if I can't fix this for you. Let me try something for you guys. Maybe this will fix it. Let me see if this works. I wonder if this is going to be any better. Of course, it's super tiny. That's not really any better. Bear with me. Let me try to add. Okay, it's not going to work. Well, I guess this is one of the challenges of doing a live video when you have technical difficulties. I'm probably losing everybody right now. I want to make sure that my video is not too glitchy. Bear with me here. I think I almost have it. It's a little bit too zoomed in right now. Oh, that might be it. Maybe that's better. That's as good as it's gonna get. Okay. I don't know if that's any better. We'll see. Okay, so let's go back to the questions. Yeah, so what I was saying, I know it's hard for you to believe because there are so many intricacies to the software, but I promise you the thing here is that you are going to learn so much whenever you get your first client. It doesn't matter how much you know right now. You don't want to wait to become a QuickBooks expert and a bookkeeping expert because you don't have any clients right now. It's going to take you a month before you even get your first client. So keep that in mind. Whenever you're trying to learn QuickBooks and bookkeeping, you can do that simultaneously while you're doing sales and marketing. That's my biggest piece of advice for anybody who's trying to get started. Take 2 weeks, learn as much as you can about QuickBooks, become a certified QuickBooks Pro Advisor. As soon as you get that certification, start doing sales and marketing because it took me 6 weeks to get my first client. So here's what I don't want to happen. I don't want you to do a bunch of research on QuickBooks, a bunch of research on bookkeeping, and wait 3 months until you start doing sales or marketing, because then you're going to have to do a whole nother month of sales and marketing before you even get your first client. So you're going to end up spending 4 months with no clients just learning about QuickBooks and bookkeeping. So skip those extra 2 months and just start doing sales and marketing right away. And then once you get your first client, you're going to learn everything you need to know. You can spend 3 hours every day working on that first client, working on their QuickBooks, doing research on YouTube, looking up questions, looking up videos, doing research. You'll be able to figure it out. I promise you, QuickBooks is not that complicated. All right. How long should it take someone to get to the point where they could get the certification? Like not hours per days, but hours in total to pass? I have no idea. It all depends on how good you are at taking tests. So that answer is going to change for everybody. But I think most people can pass the QuickBooks Online Pro Advisor exam. I don't know how long it's going to take. It probably took me, I have no idea. Let's say 20 hours. I have no idea. It was 3 years ago. I don't really remember. Hey, Zach, I'm from a third world country. What do you think? How difficult would it be for me to land my international first client? Does it also affect the trust from clients abroad? So I have a ton of people who ask me this question, and I say the same thing every time. I live in the United States. I work with everybody in the United States. I'm so sorry, but I don't have any experience getting clients from a different country. So unfortunately, I can't give you any answers on that. I wish I could, but I'm just not the person. I'm sure there are other people out there who might be able to help you with that, but all of my clients live in the same country as I do, so I can't give you any practical advice on that. Do you charge extra for logging into third-party payroll software, print payroll journal, then make payroll entry, or just count as $3 per transactions? Jeff, that's a great question. I try to stay away from any third-party softwares if I can. So if usually I'll have them email me their payroll report. The only adjustments I do for payroll is I will split their taxes and their wages. So typically, if you're using a payroll processor, you usually have 3 transactions coming out. You usually have the payroll processing fee, you have payroll wages, and you have payroll taxes. Now, I usually just take the payroll processing fee, that's straight up, that's not hard. The payroll wages, that's not hard, but payroll taxes usually needs to be split between payroll wages and actual employer taxes. That's really the only thing I do with payroll. I stay away from payroll. If you've heard me talk about this before, I don't have a niche in the industries who I service, but I have a niche in the services that I provide. What that means is I only do bookkeeping. I don't process payroll. I don't do taxes. And that has enabled me to become a bookkeeping expert. I probably know more about bookkeeping than some CPAs do because I only do bookkeeping. I truly am a bookkeeping expert. So I stay away from payroll. Okay, hope that was helpful. So how do you collect your compensation as an advanced payment or just the sum of total transactions at the end of the month? How do you make sure the client actually pays? So I always get paid up front before I start working. So if it's a cleanup job, let's say, for example, you want me to do your bookkeeping for 2023. You want me to start in January and go all the way through to October. That's great. That's 10 months. Now let's say I'm going to charge you $300 per month. That means I'm going to charge you $3,000 to do your bookkeeping from January through October. Now, there's 2 options here. One of 2 options. I will make you pay everything up front, or sometimes I'll let you pay 50% now and 50% later whenever I'm done with October bookkeeping. Typically, I try to get paid upfront in total, everything upfront. So I'll literally charge you $3,000. Like, I'm not doing anything until you give me $3,000. And at first I was like, wow, that's pretty crazy. Who's really going to do that? People do that because, well, they trust me because I've been around for a long time. So maybe you're going to have a harder time. So you might need to require 50% upfront, but at the very least, 50% upfront, 50% when it's done. Do not do all the work and then bill them. That's going to be a nightmare. That's for cleanup jobs. Now, if you are doing just monthly bookkeeping, I kind of already explained this, so I'll explain it one more time real quick. So if you are, let's say I'm going to start doing your bookkeeping in November. So I will send you an invoice for on November 1st, and I'm going to start doing your bookkeeping in November, and I will expect payment immediately. So you need to pay me. If you're a brand new client, I'm not doing anything until you pay me. You have to pay me November. You have to pay me $300 for November before I start doing any of your bookkeeping. And then I just continue that cycle. So if you paid your first month, I start to trust you a little bit. Now, December 1st, I'll send you the invoice again. And I'll probably start doing your bookkeeping before it's paid, but it better be paid before December 10th, at the very latest, maybe the 15th or the 20th. If it's not paid by December 20th, I'm going to call you. I'm going to text you every single day until you either pay that invoice or you say, hey, I no longer want your services. So I know that was kind of a long explanation, but you really want to be ruthless and relentless with tracking down payments, because you don't want to mess around with late payments or just customers who don't pay in general. So I would really be really persistent, really encourage your clients to pay you due on receipt, pay me immediately, pay me up front. That just alleviates any frustration down the road. My question is, what qualifying questions you do to prospective clients to ensure they are serious? I've had 4 people that were blips trying to be nice here. 4 people that were blips. Not sure what a blip. Okay. My question is, what qualifying questions do you do to prospective clients? So honestly, I keep it pretty simple whenever I am questioning clients. The one thing I do require is, so I'll do like a 10-minute free consultation, and I will require that I will ask you a few questions. Like first of all, tell me about your business. And by the way, if you want, I have a sales script for sale on my website, harrisburgbookkeeping.com/store. I have everything spelled out word for word, exactly how I would do it. I have my sales script for sale on my website. Definitely recommend that you check it out. Okay, so the first question I ask is, first of all, it's a 10-minute phone call. And I always start with a phone call, and I always just say, hey, tell me about your business. And this is usually their opportunity to tell me a little bit about their business. They usually go into detail. And then I will usually ask them, are you currently using QuickBooks Online? If they're not, I say, are you open to using QuickBooks Online? And if they are, that's great. If they're not using QuickBooks Online and they're not open to using QuickBooks Online, I cannot work with you because I only work with QuickBooks Online. So you have to be using QuickBooks Online, or you have to be willing to use it. And then I ask you, how many bank accounts do you have? How many credit card accounts do you have? And then usually they'll say, I have 1 bank account, I have 1 credit card account, or some variation of that. And then I'll say, is your business checking account used strictly for business transactions, or are you commingling your personal transactions with your business transactions? That's usually a good indicator of how serious of a business owner this client is. If they are commingling their funds, it's going to be a disaster. They're probably going to be a pain in the butt to work with. But if they're organized and well managed and they only use their business checking account for their business transactions, that's a good sign. And now typically we'll usually talk about pricing. I'll usually give people a rough quote. I'll usually say, I can't tell you how much it's going to be, but what I can tell you is that my minimum fee is $250 per month. Now that usually eliminates the people who are not serious. I tell them $250 a month, absolute minimum, even if you're a brand new business. $250 per month, but it can go up. I've got a couple clients who pay me $2,000 per month. So I can't give you an exact quote, but I can tell you that it's going to be somewhere probably in that range between $250 and $2,000 per month. Now, in order to give you an exact quote, I just need to see your 3 most recent bank statements and credit card statements, or I need to be invited to your QuickBooks Online account. And then that's usually where the phone consultation ends. I'll get their email address. I'll send them an email, reminding them, hey, I need your bank statements. Hey, I need your QuickBooks Online invite. And then I cannot do anything until I get that information. So that's how I know people are serious. I know that was a really long answer. You asked me, how do I know if prospective clients are serious? I hope that makes sense. I hope that was a good explanation, but I go through that sales consultation. I request the QuickBooks Online access. I request the bank statements. And then, like I said before, I add them to my tracker. I add them to this list of prospective clients who are warm leads who have expressed interest. And after I send them that email, I'll probably follow up with them in 1 week or 2 weeks or 4 weeks maybe. And I will follow up with them and say, hey, reminder, I still need your bank statements, or hey, reminder, I sent you this bookkeeping quote. Like, do you still want to move forward with bookkeeping? And I'll do that every single week or every single month until they tell me, yes, I want to work with you, or no, I don't want to work with you. So that's why you got to be relentless following up with prospective clients. How do you add daily 50 business owners? As a newbie, how do you reach business owners? So my best advice, and I'm sure I have a YouTube video somewhere on here explaining this, but so like I said, sales and marketing, social media marketing, 4-step process. First, you have to create social media marketing content every single day. Second, you need to find prospective clients. And third, you need to connect with prospective clients. So you have to connect, you have to send 50 friend requests every single day. And that might seem like a lot, but I promise you it is a lot. But what you need to do is go to Facebook groups that are relevant to your geographical region. So let's say, for example, you live in Baltimore, Maryland. Go to Facebook and look up maybe Baltimore business owners on Facebook and find business groups that are relevant to Baltimore. And I recommend make sure they have more than 5,000 members in the group. And then once you find maybe 5, maybe 10 of those groups, join those groups and go through the members in all of those groups and look for members with things in common in those Facebook groups. The people in those groups are probably local to your geographical region. And I recommend that just because if you live in Baltimore, other people who live in Baltimore are probably more likely to trust you for whatever reason than maybe somebody who lives in California or somebody who lives in Texas, just because you're more likely to trust people who live in your neighborhood. That's just the way it is. And I promise you, there's plenty of fish in the sea. There are plenty of prospective clients where you are right now. So you can go to these Facebook groups and sort through the members who you have things in common with in that Facebook group, and you can add them to be your Facebook friends. And it's going to take maybe 30 minutes, maybe 45 minutes, but you'll be able to find a lot of prospective clients, a lot of business owners in those Facebook groups, and then you just send them a friend request. I have a couple specific YouTube videos that talk more about that, and I actually do a screen share and I tell you how to do that. So for anybody who didn't hear me in the beginning of this live stream, I do have a course that I teach you everything you need to know from start to finish on how to start a bookkeeping business. The link is in the description of this video. And I also have weekly meetings every single Monday at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I definitely recommend that you check out those weekly meetings. Check out all the links in the description of this video. Okay, let's see. A couple more questions here and then I got to run. How do I sort Facebook to find friends added by date? Oh man, that's a great question. I'm not going to go over that right now. I wish I could explain that. Maybe I'm going to have to share my screen and go through my Facebook to show that. And I'm not going to do that right now. I wish I could, but I know exactly how to do it. And I wish I could show you. Maybe send me an email and maybe we'll set up a time to meet and I'll show you how to do it if I have enough time. Have you ever thought about partnering with a CPA firm and send your clients to that CPA for taxes and you get money through the referral? That's a great question. So I was doing that. I do partner with a CPA and I send all of my clients to that CPA and he sends all of his tax clients to me for bookkeeping. We have a great relationship and I was doing that. But it just kind of turned into a billing pain in the butt. Like, what am I going to get? $50 maybe for referring a tax client over to my CPA. And in the beginning, $50 seemed cool, but then you're tracking down the invoice, like you're billing. It just, I don't know. It just wasn't really worth it. So I stopped doing that. And now at this point, I just have a really great relationship with my CPA. and he refers me clients, I refer him clients. I don't know if I referred him more or if he's referred me more. Honestly, it's really nice because I'm able to call my CPA and I ask him questions. Like, I ask him tax questions, I ask him business questions. It's nice to have a CPA in your back pocket. So I have probably given him more business than he's given me, but it's nice to have somebody owe you one, if you know what I mean. So it's nice to have a CPA who might owe you a favor or two. So I wouldn't ask him to pay me for anything, to pay me for the referrals. We're good friends at this point, honestly. Like, I've been over to his house talk regularly. He gives me business, I give him business. So I wouldn't charge him for the referrals. Hope that answers your questions. How do you categorize a transaction on the business account that was used for personal at the supermarket, for instance? So that is simply owner's pay. So you would treat that just like you would if you wrote yourself a check or did an ACH direct deposit to your personal checking account from your business checking account. The same concept applies. Those are all just owner's pay. It's an equity transaction. It does not flow through your profit and loss. So if you use your business credit card or your business checking account incorrectly on a personal expense, just categorize that as an equity transaction, specifically owner's pay or members equity or owner's draw, whatever terminology you're using for your chart of accounts. That was great. Thanks. By the way, Blip is another way of saying that they were tire kickers or difficult. Debbie, that's great to know. Thank you. Now I know what Blip means. Tire kickers or difficult people to work with. Yes. You want to avoid blips at all cost. Is there a charge for the weekly meetings, and how much does the course cost? The course, I think, is $1,200, and there is a charge for the weekly meetings. The weekly meetings are $100 per month, and that gets you access to the entire month, 1 hour weekly meeting. So it gets you access to 4 hours of weekly meetings. You can email me questions. I'll usually respond to your email with answers, and if I can't, then I'll answer all of your questions in the weekly meeting. And it's a very intimate setting. Like, we have like a Zoom call, everybody's face is on the screen, everybody kind of collaborates and gets to know each other, and everybody works together. You have a chance to share. Maybe you did something good this week, or maybe you made a mistake this week. Everybody has a chance to share. Okay, so this was a long, you have team for work. I'm not sure what that means. You have team for work. It's just me. I'm not sure what that question means, but it's just me running my bookkeeping business. I don't have anybody who works for me. I have 45 clients. They pay me on average $450 per month per client. So I'm making close to $20,000 per month in recurring monthly revenue, and it's all just me. So that's a good question. I'll talk on that real quick, and if nobody else has any questions, then I'm probably gonna head out here soon. But I do all the work myself, and you can too. So the cool thing about having a bookkeeping business is that if you want to, you could be working a full-time job, or you could be a full-time student, or you could be a stay-at-home dad, or you could be a stay-at-home mom. You could have like a whole nother job, and you could start a bookkeeping business truly as a side hustle. That's the beauty of it. You can make it as big as you want or as small as you want. So if you want to keep your full-time job, or if you want to keep taking care of your kids, you can probably work for 2 hours a day, get 3 or 4 clients, maybe make an extra $1,000 or extra $2,000 a month. Like, that's an awesome side hustle, working remotely, working from the comfort of your own home, not doing any physical labor, just doing bookkeeping for 3 or 4 clients, maybe working 2 or 3 hours a week. That's a great side hustle. Or if you want to do what I did 3 years ago and work really, really hard, like I said, starting a bookkeeping business, 4-step process. Step number 4, you got to work really, really hard. If you want to do that, you want to work 8 hours a day, sometimes 10 hours a day, sometimes 2 hours on the weekend. If you want to work really, really hard, then you can get maybe 2 or 3 clients every single month. And then after 2 years, you'll have 45 clients. So the sky truly is the limit when it comes to a bookkeeping business. I am doing all the work myself. I'm making $20,000 per month, and anybody can do what I do as long as you're willing to be consistent and commit to starting a bookkeeping business. So you have to be consistent every single day, and you have to commit to doing this for 6 months at least. And when I say doing this, I mean trying to get clients, because once you get your first 10 clients, your business just kind of snowballs from there. You start getting word of mouth referrals, and things really start to pick up from there. But if nobody else has any questions, I've been talking for 35 minutes straight, so I think I'm going to head out soon. If anybody has any last minute questions, you are more than welcome to ask questions in the chat. I'd be happy to answer whatever questions you might have. If not, you all have to check out the links in the description of this video. Please join my Facebook group. I respond to everybody's comments. I respond to everybody's questions. The Facebook group is growing. We have over 2,000 members, and there's great conversation and collaboration with other bookkeeping business owners. People are asking marketing questions, QuickBooks questions, bookkeeping questions, customer service questions. It's really great. What inspired you to start bookkeeping in the beginning? So I will tell you this real quick story. I always had a passion for personal finance and for business in general. I never took an accounting question. I never took an accounting class in college before. And I took my very first accounting class in August of 2020. It was Intro to Accounting, and that's when I fell in. I know it's cliche to say, but that's when I fell in love with accounting. So I started my bookkeeping business truly with no experience other than 2 months of an undergraduate Intro to Accounting class. That was the only experience I had. I started my bookkeeping business just because I fell in love with accounting. I fell in love with debits and credits. I fell in love with the income statement and the balance sheet and just accounting in general. And I fell in love with it, and I wanted to start working right away. And I realized that I could start a bookkeeping business with no experience. And I did it in the fall of 2022. And 3 years later, now I'm making these videos. I'm talking to my webcam so that I can teach you how to do exactly what I did 3 years ago, because I'm seriously, if you can't tell, I'm seriously passionate about bookkeeping. I'm seriously passionate about helping other people because I have achieved pretty good success, and I want to share this with everybody watching these videos. I know you can get just as many clients as I got. You can make just as much money as I'm making, as long as you follow my steps and as long as you work really, really hard. So that's what inspired me back then, and that's what inspires me today. How many hours a day do you work? So I do a lot of different things. Like obviously right now I'm quote unquote working, but I'm not working on my bookkeeping business. I'm kind of working on like another side hustle almost. So I probably do work 8 hours per day, but I don't work 8 hours on my bookkeeping business. So I work so here's my schedule. I'll give you my schedule rundown real quick because I do have a bunch of kids at home. I have a wife, I have a family, I have hobbies, I go to the gym, I go to church on Sunday. Like I have hobbies and friends and family, so I'm not just working 24/7. So I usually wake up at 5 a.m. and I'll work for 2 hours every morning. And I work for, 2 hours every morning, 5 a.m. to 7 a.m. And then I go home and get the kids ready for school. And then I work from 8 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. So that's 3.5 hours. That was 2 hours in the morning. So truly probably 5 hours I work on my bookkeeping business every single day. It usually takes me about 3 to 4 hours to do actual bookkeeping. And then like for an hour or 2 hours, I'll do sales and marketing every single day. And then usually like in the afternoon, I do miscellaneous stuff. Like I am taking a college class right now in accounting. So I'll do some homework in the afternoon. Also, what else do I do in the afternoon? Like I make these videos. I usually make videos like every day at 3 p.m. I also have a ton of consultations. So people will schedule 1 hour consultations with me, and I'll teach them how to do bookkeeping, or I'll teach them how to start a bookkeeping business. But that's all like extra stuff. So like truly working on my bookkeeping business, probably 4 to 5 hours per day. And 3 to 4 hours of that is bookkeeping, and 1 to 2 hours of that is sales and marketing. Tried to go to your Facebook page and says it doesn't exist. I'm not sure why. I'll have to look into that. Any worries of AI taking over bookkeeping jobs? I'm sure AI will. I don't know. I have 45 clients right now. I'm working on their books. AI is not working on their books. So it's going really well for me right now. I'm sure AI will. No. To answer your question, no, I'm not worried about AI taking over bookkeeping jobs. Let me just say this, without getting political or religious on you. I think there's a lot of things in this world to worry about, but I try to focus on the things that I can control. So I can control how I feel today. I can control how hard I work today, and I try to be positive. I try to be professional and optimistic and uplifting, and I try to work really, really, really hard. So those are the things I can control. That's all I truly worry about. I worry about my friends. I worry about my family. I worry about my community. I don't really worry about the future because I don't really have a whole lot of control over the future. The only thing I can control is myself and how hard I work. So am I learning about AI? Absolutely. Am I trying to leverage AI right now in my current business? Absolutely. And I think that's the most important thing. Like, I'm trying to do as much as I can right now to work with artificial intelligence, but I'm not losing sleep over artificial intelligence taking over my job. If it happens, it happens. There's nothing really I can do about it. I will adapt and overcome like I always have. Debbie, looks like it doesn't exist. Yeah, sorry about that. I'm not sure why the Facebook group isn't working for you. I will have to look into that. So now I've been on here for 40 minutes. People keep asking questions. If anybody else has any other questions about bookkeeping or QuickBooks or sales or marketing or customer service or managing clients or onboarding clients, let me know. Ask me a question. I'd be happy to help. I'd be happy to share any of my knowledge. If this was helpful, if you like this, which video on your channel would be a great place to start? I asked a question yesterday and really enjoyed your advice. Which video on your channel would be a great place to start with starting? Eric, I'm sorry, I have a ton of videos. I have no idea where you should start. I have no idea. Maybe just start, maybe sort by the most popular videos. Maybe that's a good idea. Just watch all the most popular videos. But honestly, I have no idea which videos you should watch. Yeah, sorry about that. Hey, if you want, take my course. It's $1,200, and I definitely recommend my course. That's why I created the course, because I have over 300 YouTube videos, and I talk about everything all over the place. It's scattered, but the course is great because if you value your time and if you value like learning quickly, then the course is great for you because you will be able to learn everything organized, systematically from start to finish. That's why I created the course. Like, all of the information in my course, I guarantee you, is somewhere out there in YouTube for free that you could get, but you're going to probably spend 4 times as much time trying to find the actual answers and the actual information. But everything in my course is just nice, neat, organized, and laid out step by step for you. So my best advice to you would be to take my course. Any QuickBooks class recommendations? No, I did not do anything to learn QuickBooks other than I became a certified QuickBooks Pro Advisor and I just worked with the software on my own. I don't know. I mean, I don't have, I have like a whole QuickBooks section in my course, but I don't think you need to pay for anything to learn QuickBooks. I really don't. Like, just seriously, just become a certified QuickBooks Pro Advisor and then do a ton of sales and marketing and get your first client. Once you get your first client, then you can just dive headfirst into their QuickBooks and try to master, because everybody's QuickBooks is different. Everybody's chart of accounts is different. Everybody's bank feed is different. So just just get your first client and then work on their QuickBooks. Like, just spend hours and hours and hours in their QuickBooks, and then you're going to learn everything you need to know. Don't let the fear of, this is the very first talking point I made. Don't let the fear of learning everything about QuickBooks stop you from starting your bookkeeping business or stop you from doing sales and marketing to get your first client. All right, I think that's it. I don't think anybody else is going to ask any questions. No more questions are being asked. It's been 45 minutes. I got to go get a sip of water. I'll give you guys like 30 more seconds to ask another question. If you guys can't tell, I genuinely enjoy doing this. So I genuinely enjoy answering your questions. I genuinely enjoy helping you all start your bookkeeping business because I'm seriously so passionate about this. If I could teach a college class on this, I probably would. I seriously enjoy this a lot. I enjoy sharing my knowledge, sharing my experience. I've learned a ton over the past 3 years. And so my duty and my obligation now is to share my knowledge and my experience with all of you so that you can achieve the same level of success that I've achieved. So with that, those are my closing words. No other questions in the comments. I'm going to end the stream now. Stay tuned. I'm not going to make a video tomorrow probably. Maybe I will tomorrow. Tomorrow's Thursday. Definitely not Friday. And probably not we'll see what happens next week. I don't know when I'll make another video, but stay tuned for the next live stream. Somebody just asked a question. Is the chart of accounts and categories the same thing? Yes. The chart of accounts, think of a filing cabinet. Okay, never mind. So your chart of accounts, every single line item on your profit and loss, every single line item on your balance sheet, those are your chart of accounts. So you look at your profit and loss, income, revenue, sales, you look at your expenses, advertising and marketing, bank charges and fees, contractor labor, insurance, utilities, rent, payroll, wages. Those are all chart of accounts on your profit and loss. And then on your balance sheet, you've got assets, liabilities, and equity. Those are all the chart of accounts on your balance sheet. Those are all your chart of accounts. And now whenever I say categories, that's also a chart of accounts. So every time you categorize a transaction, it's the same thing as recording the transaction. So whenever you categorize a transaction or record a transaction, you are just labeling that transaction and putting it, allocating it toward a specific chart of account. Categorizing transactions, chart of accounts, categories, recording transactions, those are all the same thing. Okay, one more question. Is all your work 100% remote or digital? Yes, I have an office that's not in my house. I rent an office. It's like in a big corporate building, but clients don't come to visit me. The only reason I have this office is so that I have my own space. I have like privacy and I can focus outside of my home because like I said, I've got a family, I've got kids at home. So I do have an office, but all of my work is 100% remote, 100% digital. I have a conference room in this corporate building where I can meet with clients, but for the most part, everybody just, I work with everybody remotely or digitally. So yeah, all my work is 100% remote. Like honestly, if I wanted to move to Italy, I could probably continue offering all of my bookkeeping services to all of my current clients. Why would a business owner go with a bookkeeper instead of doing their own books? That's a great question. Let me give you my logic trail as to why you should hire a bookkeeper. KR, I'm so happy you joined us and asked me this question. Let me give you the answer. So there are two types of people in this world. You either have time to do your own bookkeeping or you don't have time to do your own bookkeeping. If you don't have time to do your own bookkeeping, you have to hire somebody. If you do have time to do your own bookkeeping, but you don't know how to do it, you have to hire somebody. If you do have time to do your own bookkeeping, you don't know how to do your own bookkeeping, but you can learn how to do your own bookkeeping. You can do it if you learn how to do it. If you do have time to do your own bookkeeping and you know how to do it, then do your own bookkeeping. It's as simple as that. But the reason why anybody should hire somebody to do their bookkeeping is because either they don't have time to do it or they don't know how to do it. And believe it or not, there are a ton of business owners who fall into those two categories. I hope that was a good explanation. I love giving that answer. Do you have clients that send paper receipts? No, I have no paper receipts. I do everything digitally. I do have clients ask me, hey, what about my receipts? I say, you do not need to send me your receipts. You can certainly keep those receipts if you want to, but I do not need your receipts. So keep your receipts. You can store them on your computer. You can upload them to QuickBooks if you want, but I do not need your receipts. The questions keep coming. How did you start working as a bookkeeper for your first client without practical experience? I don't know. I just got my first client. I did a ton of sales and marketing. I got my first client December 17th, 2020. I have a sticky note on the window in my office. December 17th, 2020, I landed my first client. I started my bookkeeping business October of 2020. It took me less than 6 weeks to get my first client. I got them by looking up on Facebook. I was searching for business owners on Facebook. I sent them a DM. I sent them a message. I said, hey, I'm a bookkeeping business owner. Let me know if you ever need help with their QuickBooks. And they said, hey, actually, I do need help with my QuickBooks and my bookkeeping. And the rest is history. So I got my first client through Facebook without any experience. They never asked me. They never said, show me your college degree. They never said, show me your certifications. They never even asked for referrals. However, I have had several clients ask for referrals in the past. Luckily, my first 2 clients did not ask for referrals. And also, luckily, I helped my father-in-law with his bookkeeping and his business. So my recommendation to you, think of friends and family members who maybe you could help in the beginning, like, hey, just let me help you for 1 hour. Let's have a conversation about your bookkeeping. And then you can use them as a referral in the future. So if anybody ever asked me, can you, what are you qualified to do this, or do you have any experience with this, or are you even a legitimate bookkeeper? The only thing I would ever say is, if you'd like, I can give you a list of referrals for you to contact. That's all I would ever say. I'm not showing you a certification. I'm not showing you a college degree. I mean, you can certainly go to my Google My Business profile and you can see that I have over 100 5-star reviews. With that being said, I definitely recommend you should go to Google My Business and start a Google My Business profile immediately if you haven't already. This is a great place for you to establish yourself and set yourself up as a proper, legitimate business owner. And here is where I would recommend that you get Google reviews. Go to your friends, go to your family members, ask them to give you a review. Now, here's the key. Don't ask them to lie on your behalf. Just ask your friend from college to give you a review and say, hey, Josiah is a great person. They know a ton about bookkeeping. They know a ton about QuickBooks. I highly recommend everybody work with Josiah. Everything I just said is probably true. Josiah is a great person. Josiah is a great bookkeeper. Everybody should work with Josiah. All those things are true. I'm not asking them to lie and say, hey, Josiah's been my bookkeeper for 5 years. He's a tax expert. I'm not asking you to lie, but just say, talk about my character, talk about, recommend me, tell my prospective clients they should work with me. Try to get Google reviews from your friends and family. That's going to go a long way when you're getting started. Like I said, I have over 100 5-star Google reviews. And then once you get your first client, ask for a Google review. Once you have a consultation with somebody, if you help somebody with their bookkeeping or taxes, ask them for a Google review. Those Google reviews go a long way in helping you rank on SEO for search engine optimization. And also they just help in the real world. They help prospective clients trust who you are. Okay, so it looks like we might just make this thing a whole hour. Let's see. If anybody else has any questions, I'd be happy to answer your questions, but I think I have to go now. I'm getting pretty tired of talking. It's been 53 minutes. I think I'm going to head out. I hope this was helpful for everybody. I'm signing off. Check the links in the description of this video. You got to take my course. You got to join my weekly meetings, join my Facebook group, sign up for a one-on-one consultation if you want to talk to me one-on-one. I'll talk to you all later.